name is Gareth Thomas. I'm the President, CEO, and Director of Westhaven Gold Corp. Westhaven is solely focused in southwestern British Columbia on what's known as the Spences Bridge Gold Belt. We have 4 properties covering a little over 37,000 hectares, and we're actively drilling 2 of those projects as we speak.
Good to see you. In fact, well, we saw you back in September, but when you just done the Franco deal. So, hey, let's remind people what happened there. So you raised a bit of money by with Franco-Nevada, $6 million US. Why did you do it then?
Yeah, so we ended up raising it. It equates to a little over 10 million Canadian dollars. We sold a 2% NSR on all 4 of our projects, and plus we did a $1 million equity raise with Franco, and then we sold our 2.5% NSR on Talisker ground, which we had all sort of surrounding our project. So all in all, as mentioned, that equates to a little over 10 million Canadian, and that being a hard dollar coming from Franco as well, that gets us 30% back on every hard dollar we put into the ground. So next year, for example, we spend 10 million this year, we'll get about 3 million back. So we're set up for a while here, and which is of course puts us in a nice position, as we were just chatting before, with what's going on in this world, and of course Franco-Nevada is a huge stamp of approval, so that's big for us.
That's what I want to talk to you. Okay, so keep talking to you because timing is so important. So people talk about luck and timing in mining, and I think timing the capital raises is critical, because it gives you options in terms of being able to kind of survive. But the other important thing about once you've got it is, what do you do with it? I've seen some results come out. You talk about the Skoonka Creek gold property commencing a drill program, but what are you going to do with this money? What's the plan?
Yeah, good point there. We just started drilling our Skoonka Creek project, which is about 40 kilometers as a crow flies to the northwest of our Shovelnose, our flagship Shovelnose project. We're also still drilling on Shovelnose. So yeah, we'll be drilling both those properties till, well, the year ends almost here, another month or so. And then next year, we're going to continue on with Shovelnose while we assess what we get from Skoonka Creek. It's our first time ever drilling that. We've had that project since 2017. But we thought now was an excellent time to get there and test some of these high priority targets we had, and things are looking pretty good. And I think that will give our investors and potentially new shareholders an idea of what's on this belt besides what's on Shovelnose, and remind people that this is a very large emerging gold belt. And I think when we can hopefully have some decent results there, and I think we'll get people sort of going, okay, well, this is district scale potential in southwestern British Columbia in a great jurisdiction. So yeah, that's where the money will take us well into next year, and sort of keeping our 2 rigs going, and obviously see how the market is going. And who knows at this point? There's so many different ways it could go, but we're certainly being we're being very cautious with our cash, I should say. It's I don't know how easy it's going to be to raise cash in the near future, but we got at least give or take a year sort of runway here on what we currently have budgeted, and that's drill bit. We got hundreds of targets on Shovelnose alone, and we'll be back boots on ground next year on Skoonka Creek, and we'll also be looking to work on our Prospect Valley property, which we haven't spoken about much in the last few years, but another great project with tons of potential. So still a very exploration-driven story, and drill bit and find more ounces of gold and silver. That's our main goal here.
Right. Okay. But, with the Skoonka Creek gold project, I think you talked originally about like 3,000 meters, 13 holes, or something like that. Have you sort of adjusted your thinking? I know you've raised the capital, but the markets continue to be difficult for precious metals. So have you had to adjust your thinking, give yourself the option of not drilling as much as perhaps you've indicated?
That's a great question that many people ask us, and in fact we have internal debates about that very, very often amongst our board and management. Is where's our money best spent at this time? Is it preserving a bit of that cash, or is it going gangbusters? And I think we're kind of in the middle right now, where we're extremely fortunate to have this money, but we also got to be, as mentioned earlier, a little bit cautious of what's going on in the world here. And with even waking up today to see gold breaking that 1650 level there, and you're going, oh geez, where's this going to go now? And we're always very cognizant of that, Matt, as you probably are as well. So It's a little bit of in between right now in terms of, but we're always debating that, and I think we'll are always going to be drilling here, but I think we might take the foot off the gas a little bit and really take our targets, really delineate them well, and like I said, we have hundreds of targets outside even our main resource area, and we'd like to get to those. And then lots of boots on ground next year, back to basics on a lot of these projects. But certainly, moving these projects forward, that's our main goal here with the money we have. But we certainly have to be cautious, I think, in this environment.
Yeah, if you look at some of the grades that you've been putting out, it's obviously high grade stuff that you've got. People will be very keen to sort of see how you build this out and start to show the scale, etc. But there's a time and a place there, and you certainly don't want to be out of control by running out of capital. Are there other options available to you in terms, because you do have multiple targets, etc.? Do you want to retain control? Do you want to bring other people in? What are the options on the table there if this period goes on longer than perhaps people want it to?
Yeah, you know what? At the price we're at, where we're at, we see us as many as probably your guests will say. We feel like we're very undervalued at this point, where we're trading at just with that 1 million ounce resource we have here. We think we're well below where we should be. That being said, we're not complaining. A lot of people are in the same boat. I think this is time where we got to keep our head down and do what's best for getting that shareholder value. But you mentioned the high grade. Some of the high grades things we're drilling, but another way to look at this is we have, for example, this high grade outcrop on surface at Franz, which is where we're getting close to with the drill. We're filling in what's known as this gap between the FMN and Franz. Well, that's an outcrop, high grade outcrop sitting on surface, which we really haven't done a lot with. We believe the potential there. I won't put a number, but we think our market cap probably justifies that outcrop justifies our market cap the way it is right now. And it's just sitting there, low hanging fruit. So we have been doing some work on that. We've been stripping that off, looking to probably drill a few more holes in there to get a better idea of what we may have in terms of ounces. And in the past in the area here, people have done bulk samples, even in the 90s, getting $25 million from these sort of things. So that's one sort of creative way we're looking, depending on how this market continues. But we don't talk about that enough. We don't remind our shareholders enough of things like this that are just sitting there, not to mention our 1.1 million ounce resource, which is growing as we drill the FMN. So we feel we're very well positioned here. It's just a matter of chicken or the egg, right? It's and that's really the story of the exploration business. I think you got to be. It's challenging, but that's the way it is, and we're no different than many of our peers, and at least the ones that are cashed and have a plan. But that's we got to think about these things, and that's why we're here. That's why we have a board. That's why we have a good management. We gotta sort of weigh the pros and cons of doing these things. So we're always thinking of ways to get shareholder value. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And are you starting to get a sense of what it is that you've got there? Because obviously, 1.1 million are like all categories, but it's these are good grades we're talking about. Are you getting a sense of how you could eventually mine this thing? I know you're an exploration company. I know it's early days, but the amount of times that people say they very quickly work out what it is that they've got and how they're going to mine it eventually, right? So right now, given the markets, given the options that you've just described, do you have a sense of or confidence in about the way that you can take this company forward, the way that you can monetize some of the assets and targets in this company?
Yeah, another excellent question. I think that's, as mentioned, where we are at these prices and this level where, ultimately we'd like to, sell this to the right person to put this in production. But as we are in this environment, we're certainly doing everything we can to push this forward. And we had about a year ago now, we added to our board a mining engineer who comes from a mining background. So we're definitely thinking about these things. And we started, going on to our third year now of environmental baseline surveying. So we're doing all these things that will get whoever, if that's us. But right now we're going at this like this is us developing this while also exploring. And I think the drill bit's still going to be the instigator and getting the stock price going, or when this thing does turn around. And I think we're in an excellent position for when the market does turn around. I think we're in an excellent position. We're going to have a ton of results coming out in the next couple months here, well into New Year, Skoonka, from FMN, from hopefully from this Franz outcrop. So tons of things on the horizon. But yeah, we do have sort of an idea. There's we're probably not right there in sort of announcing what we do in terms of a PEA or anything, but we certainly have our ideas. Yeah, you certainly think about those things.
Okay. The reason I ask you is because a lot of companies putting out good drill results. They're sometimes even putting out economic studies, and the market's not giving them any kind of reaction for precious metal, for gold specifically at the moment. One would hope that changes soon. But if it doesn't, I think people do seem to be buying into visions, as in ideas that the companies have in terms of how they navigate these choppy waters, and that could be in some case getting into early production. It could be, I say, monetizing bulk samples that you could do with at surface outcropping. So I'm glad. Well, you're thinking about it. That's good, and you can share with us, what some of the options are, which is fantastic. But in the meantime, it's going to be, as far as you're concerned, drill. You think you're going to get the value from the drill bit?
Yeah, and as mentioned, the Franz is just intriguing because it's, this is we know on surface it's 100 meter by 30 meters, say, outcrop sitting there with high grade. We drilled 20 meters below it, and we hit 8 meters of 15 grams. We think the better stuff's up on the top there. So we've got up to 50 grams on surface, and we're looking at, we've brought up some real epithermal experts in the world, the names all your listeners would likely know, and they go, this is one of the most fantastic outcrops, exposures of low sulfidation on surface we've ever seen, and these guys have been all over the world. So that got us thinking, going, okay, well, we are sitting here. We know up the road they did a bulk sample, like I said, back in the 90s that generated a lot of cash, even at gold at $300-400 an ounce. So we're looking at, creative ways of at least setting it up where if we're still around, which hopefully we are, we're moving this thing, that might be a way to generate some cash, or for potentially a suitor that will have this all done and ready for them. But that could justify our market cap right there alone in France. And that's what I think we're going to be doing here in the coming weeks and months, is putting a few holes into France to see how high grade is this and how big can it be. Is it 10,000 ounces? Is it 50,000 ounces? And that's a lot of money, even at gold slipping a bit here at 17 or 16.50 today. That's a lot of money. So we're certainly looking at those different avenues to get best things for our shareholders.
Okay, and your message for your shareholders in terms of your share price right now is what?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think we're, as mentioned there earlier, I think we're a company that's obviously got cash in the till. We're doing lots of results coming out, a lot of catalysts on the horizon here. So I think when this turns around, or even if even if there's always companies that are going to stick out in the positive way here, and I think that's certainly we're one of them. When this thing turns, we're going to be that company that's going to go. So when is that? Don't ask me. I'm sick to death of trying to predict what's happening geopolitically, politically. We can't say, but we're certainly positioned to do well when this happens. We're very undervalued at this point. Just this will be a mine one day. I can almost guarantee you that. It's just a matter of how big, and we certainly want to get it bigger. So not even talking about Skoonka or Prospect Valley or Skoonka North, where we're likely to have some good results out of Skoonka Creek. So yeah, it's just we're building this gold belt up, and I think it's going to be really appealing for many investors, shareholders, and potential investors.